part 1 of the Blameless demo walkthrough, we looked at starting an incident in Slack and then interacting with the incident with several different Slack commands. In part 2, we'll look at the new incident from the perspective of the Blameless UI. When you first log into Blameless, you start at the incident screen. Here you see all of the incidents in descending order with the latest incident at the top. In part 1, we saw how to start an incident from Slack or Microsoft Teams. Here in the upper right, we see a button that can be used to also start an incident. You'll recall from the last video that we had created and were working with incident number 1599. To view the details of that incident, simply click the screen. At the top left, we see both the severity and the status, both of which can be changed with a simple mouse click. To the right of that, we have an account of the currently assigned tasks and follow-up actions, how many open and how many have been completed. In the middle, who is the currently assigned commander, and to the right of that, the Zoom channel that everyone can jump onto if needed, and a link to the Jira ticket that was created. And at the top right, a link to the retrospective for this incident. We'll explore that in a couple of minutes. Moving back to the left, we have the timeline that shows when events happened. You'll note that the time the incident was created coincides with the start of customer and incident impact. Those are also customizable, which we'll talk about in a bit. Below that, we'll see that any comments, additions of screenshots or files, or changes in severity and status that have been added. You can clean up things that have been added to the timeline by clicking the ellipsis and selecting Delete. Here, my comment on looking at this now doesn't add a lot of value, so I'll go ahead and delete it. If we click on the Tasks tab, we get a list of the open and closed tasks for this incident. Note that if I push the status to monitoring, again, more tasks are assigned. In part 1, you saw me check off tasks inside of Slack. We can also check off completed tasks inside of the Blameless UI. Also in part 1, I used the Slack command #todo to create a follow-up action item in Jira. We see that action item listed here. I can also create a follow-up from the UI with the Add Action button. And if an action is closed in Jira, the Blameless UI can reflect that change. You may need to refresh the page to show the change. Comms allows a user to send notifications both internally and externally. Internally, a user enters their message and then it can be sent either by email, text, or sent to a Slack channel. An update to the current 1599 channel is included here by default. And you'll note, you can also include a link to the incident in your message. Externally, again, the user would type the message, enter the email or phone number. An important distinction here, with the status page integration in place, the user could type a status page update name, select an incident status, the status page component. Checking this box will create a new status page incident. Toggle on approve, then select send to send the communication. Blameless also has the capability to automate messages using comms flow. Let's take a look at a comms flow that's been pre-configured. Starting at the triggers screen, you would first select either an event or a reminder. A reminder might be something like this: incident has been in the investigating state for 24 hours. We need to move this forward. A Blameless event can be either a change in status, severity, or retrospective state, meaning users will automatically be notified when a change in one of these occurs. In this example, I'll set this up so that a change from either investigating, identified, or monitoring to the resolved state will notify everyone. We can filter on incident type, incident severity, retrospective state, and incident tags. You can see here that we're currently filtering on customer incident. So only a change in state of customer incident would trigger a message. However, if we remove the incident type and this field is blank, a change in any incident type would trigger a communication. This is also true with incident severities and retrospective states. Leaving it blank would mean the communication is all-inclusive. Now let's look at recipients and messages. You can see that I will get an email anytime this communication triggers. Click again to pull up a menu of names. Below that, we can also notify based on role. Here I'll select to notify the communication lead. If I toggle on the SMS switch, we can send a text to someone that's in the system. I could also text by role. We can notify users and channels in Slack, and again, by role. Moving to the actual message, you'll note that variables can be placed in the message to facilitate the message's content. Put the bare bones in, and the variables will fill in the details. Variables can be placed in the subject and the body. Also note that the message preview mirrors the content. Next, continues to the summary screen. The summary screen shows an overview of the triggers, recipients, and the message. In the upper right, you can activate it now or save it in the lower left and activate it later. Comms flow. It automates the messaging so you can concentrate on what's important. Back to our incident. Runbooks or playbooks allow a user to attach a set of instructions that anyone could follow to resolve an incident. If the person that usually solves the issue is unavailable, previously having them fill out a runbook containing all the steps needed to solve the problem could be very valuable. Runbooks are created in the runbook section and then attached to the incident. You'll note that text and commands directly from a computer console can be attached for step-by-step instructions on resolving an issue. And speaking of resolving an issue, I'll go ahead and resolve 1599. Notice to the right that we now have a new set of times listed in the incident summary. Recall earlier that I said the timings of the incident creation, customer impact, and incident impact were all the same. Once you resolve an incident, you can now change some of these timings. For example, if our incident actually started at midnight, but customers weren't actually impacted until 9 a.m., you can change the times by using the little pencil icon to better reflect the actual timings. A final thing on this screen is tags. In part 1, you may recall I said you can modify and add tags from the Slack screen. Tags added to the incident type template can be selected by a drop-down menu or at any time can be added manually. Here, I'll add some tags, again using the pencil icon. With our incident now resolved, we can turn our attention to the retrospective. Google's SRE handbook says of retrospectives, when written well, acted upon, and widely shared, postmortems can be a very effective tool for driving positive organizational change and preventing repeat outages. So retrospectives are a key component in the incident resolution process. As such, the Blameless solution allows for a quick and easy creation of your retrospectives. Starting at the top, 8 different states are available. To the right of that, you can assign a retrospective owner. Return to the Incident Management section anytime with this link. To the left, customizable questions, accessible with the little pencil icon. Scrolling down below the questions, we see our timings, any added tags, any follow-up actions, and an area we can put in any root cause analysis. Back at the top, we can add any additional comments and also show who all was involved in the incident. Selecting the Analysis tab allows multiple team members to work on a free-form document simultaneously. You can drop your existing template in here if desired. And finally, export the retrospective via PDF, email, or as markup language if you would like to add it to a website. You can pick and choose which sections go where. Here is our completed retrospective in the PDF format.